We've got a lot of different types of schools in Powys up and down the county, obviously primary, secondary, some infants, juniors, faith schools, Welsh medium, dual stream schools, English medium schools, and it's very important from time to time to check that we're funding them in the way that's as fair as possible. And of course, educational needs change, and it's important, as I say, that the funding keeps pace with the changes in education.
At the moment, the review group comprises around 20 different people, all different stakeholders within the education service. So we have officers from the school service within the council, officers from within the school's finance team within the council, and then most importantly, head teachers from primary schools, high schools and special schools. We also have school governors there, representatives of the school forum, and finally, and most importantly, an external consultant who the council has provided to help us through this work. About a year ago, the council had a number of reports which showed that too many schools were falling into deficit and there wasn't enough in surplus. And they were concerned about that because if it continued, it would be really great difficulties for lots of schools in the area. As a result, they said, let's have a look at the funding formula, which is the means by which the funding within the education budget is distributed towards schools. Schools agreed that would be a very good thing to do, but also wanted to have a look at whether the overall size of the education budget, the education pie if you like, was of a sufficient size. It was agreed that should be done. So we've been looking over the last year or so at the size of the budget and whether that's sufficient, and be developing what we call the core educational offer, which is what the basis of education should be in the council. What we've been doing so far is to try and work out what we call the core educational offer. That's made up of 4 elements. The first and the largest element is the basic teaching provision. Second one is the extra resources needed for those children with additional learning needs. The third element is the resources needed for premises repairs and maintenance. And the final one is a special category for other things which aren't pertaining to all schools. So for example, dual stream schools, split site schools. Now that we've developed those 4 blocks, we've been looking at how we can distribute the money fairly in an open and transparent way. And we think we've come up with a very good formula to do that. But that, of course, is going to be the subject of consultation over the autumn term. The big issue which everybody will be concerned about is whether there's sufficient money in the system to meet that core educational offer. If it turns out it isn't, then the council's got some hard decisions to make about either making additional funding available or deciding that we can't meet all of that core educational offer. And that would probably hit things like class sizes, number of teaching assistants, etc.
The existing formula has been around many years and it's overly complicated. We need to make sure that the new formula is relevant for our schools now, and to try and streamline it and make sure it's easily understood by our school communities. I'm afraid not. The council at the moment is under severe financial restrictions and we do not have more money to spend. But this is about distributing the money we have available fairly across all the schools in Powys, primary and secondary schools, and make sure that it is clear and understandable how each school is funded. So that's a main driver for this review of the funding formula.
Well, we've drawn up a document that sets out the fundamental principles we're applying to this process, and before we actually complete the process of creating the new formula, we'd like people to contribute to the consultation. And there will be a number of consultation events and also online consultation. So we're encouraging everybody from any part of the school community, including of course teachers and head teachers, to take part.